One thing that a young person wants to know is, can I trust your word as an adult? When you stand in a position of authority and power, and a young person witnesses that you can't keep your word, it's one of the worst, things to observe. People who have power misusing it. For a young person who has to cultivate a love for power, because at some point they have to be able to exercise use of powers of thought, powers of action. And when they see people are doing negative things with those same resources, human resources, either you decided that they do not want those responsibilities and begin to disassociate from any system that will give them access to those responsibilities as well, or they go to the extreme of taking power way too early before they understand how to carry that. And we see in the absence of elders, meaning the elders are people whose word means something to each other, who've cultivated wisdom in their life. In the absence of mentors and teachers who understand how to transmit wisdom and truth and knowledge to a younger generation, in the absence of that, youth are only left with power. And the exercise of power without morality, without conscience, without any measure of balance is violence. So we give violence to the youth as the only option when we fail to meet the adult, or I call the adult conceptual worldview, which is to create agreements of how to share power. Adults can do extremely important, you can say magical things with the powers of mind and heart. We can split the atom, we did. We can go to the moon, we did. This is the imagination. What we can even do more with the power of love if we exercise full capacity for it. And we can, in a sense, allow young people to take their rightful place in the world if we act into our conscience and our morality by giving each other our words so that it can be mutually acknowledged and create something. So I go first to the sense that nothing is hidden from the human being. Nothing could be hidden from the human being if we want to know, because the mind can make processes available to it. I mean, if we think of all the things that are in the world now, who would have thought that they would have been created? But it's through the exploration of the human mental processes and creative processes that they came about. But there's lots more to gain access to. A lot of spiritual insights about the human future that we haven't begun to cultivate the cultural competencies in order to manifest this. But also a certain type of development is happening on the planet, in nature as well as in human beings, that we cannot exploit it anymore. We reach a point in which it has to be mutual consent if we're going to get the participation of nature and other human beings into world systems. We can't force people to do anything anymore. We've reached a point where that type of exploitation of the human capacities are over. People wouldn't tolerate it. This is part of the world of terrorism. This is what it has produced. People saying we would not allow ourselves to be exploited. Now there's a certain edge what fundamentalism is producing. Now, when we do not want to share a world, the only thing left is fundamentalism.